Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is CJ and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. If you're new to my channel, my previous videos I usually cover more deep dive into true crime cases, but today I'm doing things a little bit differently. As you can see from the thumbnail and title, I will be reading Reddit posts. The Reddit posts are going to be more true crime slash I shouldn't say a true crime, but some of them will be more paranormal type vibe. So let's go ahead and read the first one. This one says, I've had a few paranormal encounters, but this one shakes me up the most. My best friend in middle school lived in an old double wide in the woods. None of the bedroom doors in her house locked, and her mom had a pattern of getting drunk and getting aggressive. We normally stayed at my house, but she had a lot to explore in her backyard because of the woods. So anyways, one time we made a fort in her bedroom to hang out in. After a while of that, we got bored and started to video ourselves on a cam recorder. We set it in front of us and just talked about random BS. We went back and watched it and saw a blanket on the fort getting lifted up. We both got so freaked out that we slept in the living room that night. The next time I stayed with her, we made a bed in the bathtub with blankets and pillows. This was the only room that locked, and I guess her and her mom got into an argument earlier that day, and this is just where she wanted to hang out. We had lit candles and placed them in the bathroom. I don't know. After about an hour of us hanging out in there talking, the candles blew out and we naturally got scared and ran out. I realized that my stomach was burning, and I lifted up my shirt and found 3 scratches. I called my mom immediately and she never let me go there again. I actually drove by where she lived about a year ago and didn't see the double wide. A friend and I had reconnected this past summer and were drinking one night. I asked her if she remembered all of this and she didn't. She said she remembers that house being creepy as F, but blocked out a lot of her memories. Her mom still lives there, but let the yard and woods overgrow so people on the road can't see it. That, I can't even imagine. Oh my God, that scared the fuck out of me. So every day, well, since it started, obviously y'all can't hear that. I don't think my mic would pick it up. Yeah, y'all can't hear it, but outside the crickets just started making this noise and it scared the mess out of me. I thought something was in the room. Okay, so this story is really, really creepy. And I think that the creepiest thing about this is the fact that she doesn't remember any of it. But I understand if her mom was like aggressive and drunk a lot, she probably blocked out a lot of it because of trauma. Okay, this second one says, I've considered Okay, the second one says, I've considered sending. Okay, the second one says, I've considered sending. Oh my God. Okay, the second one says, I've considered sending this in for a listener story, but I haven't yet. After I type this up, I may copy and paste and finally send it in. Trigger warning, teen death. My family built our home on a property that a previous home burnt down on. Because we live in a small town, we have mutual friends with the previous family who lived on the property and know a bit of their story. We knew they had lost their teenage son several years ago, and when their house burnt, they decided to move because so much tragedy had happened here for them. We decided to build our home with all the proper blessings and moved in. Within the first couple weeks of settling in, I would randomly wake up in the night hearing crashes. Glass breaking, things toppling over, like dishes had fallen out of a cabinet crash. It would wake me up out of dead sleep, but after investigating, everything was fine. When I would ask my husband if he heard the crash, he would always be oblivious. It always came from the same area of the house. I spoke with a mutual friend to the previous family that lived here, and she said to me, "Oh my goodness, did you know their son died in a car accident right up the road?" From the same area of the house I was hearing the crash. I asked the mutual friend what the young man's name was, and I went home that day and called him by his name and told him I was so sorry, but his family wasn't here anymore, and I never woke up to another crash. Oh, honestly, I genuinely don't think that I would be able to move into a house. Even though it's not the same house that they moved into, they built a house, but it was on the same property. I don't think that I would have been able to do that. Like, at all. I would have definitely, even though they had the proper blessings and everything, obviously that didn't work. But even with the proper blessings and everything, I would just pick a different plot of land. It's still really scary. And imagine if it was more of like a vengeful spirit. I would have to find a different property to live on. All right, this third one says, I have 2 true crime stories and 1 paranormal. The first story, trigger warning, murder and child harm. My best friend was murdered in Guatemala, where he lived. He had a girlfriend from Colombia, and for a few months they had been receiving threatening letters. He tried to downplay the severity of the threats and didn't want to get the police involved, not that it would have helped much anyway. One day, he was driving on the highway with his girlfriend and the girlfriend's 3-year-old when their car was ambushed and my friend and his girlfriend were gunned down in front of the 3-year-old. The assassins left the little boy alone on the side of the road with the 2 bodies. He was found the next morning by some construction workers. He was covered in bug bites and hypothermic. I don't think the murder was officially solved, but the main suspect was the girlfriend's ex / the boy's father. That is awful. That is genuinely insane. I mean, thankfully they didn't hurt the kid, or I should say thankfully they didn't kill the kid, but leaving this child out all night on the side of the road with the body of his dead mother, I can't even imagine. And I can't even imagine what the construction workers thought when they thought that they were just showing up for a normal day of work, but they find 2 dead bodies and a kid. That is crazy. The second story says, trigger warning, murder of teen. When I was a sophomore in high school, a friend was murdered by her brother. He killed both of their parents and then went after her. She was able to make it into the backyard with a phone trying to call 911 when he caught up to her. I believe he shot his dad and then stabbed him, then went on to stab his mother and 16-year-old sister to death. The police found her body in the backyard laying by their koi pond. He then called 911 to report finding his parents' bodies. I don't know why it took so long for him to go to trial, but 5 years after the murders, he was finally sentenced to 3 life sentences. I cannot imagine giving birth to a child that ends up turning around and murdering me and their sibling. I mean, that is insane. Like, that's genuinely a fear of mine. But I wonder what his life was like, or clearly he was suffering with something for him to just come out of nowhere and kill his parents and his sister. And stabbing, the fact that he shot the dad, well, he probably shot the dad and stabbed him because the dad would probably have more of a chance to fight back if he was bigger. But the fact that he stabbed his mother and sister to death, I mean, that is stabbing somebody to death or strangling someone to death is a very like intense and passionate way to kill somebody. He must have been going through something for him to even do something like that. The third story says, when my daughter was 2, she started talking about an imaginary friend named Curly. I went along with it and thought it was funny / weird. When she could talk more, she started telling me more about Curly. She said he was older, like her grandpa, and that he liked to stand behind me. She also said Curly really didn't like me. Okay, this would be enough. I'm trying to think, when my little sister was like toddler age, I don't think that she didn't have any imaginary friends, but if she did, that would genuinely scare the crap out of me. Especially how, like people say that kids can see ghosts, like kids and cats can see ghosts. And I have a cat, and whenever I see him like staring in a corner, or he does this really creepy thing at night when I'm like in the bed sleeping and he'll just stand over me and stare me in my face. It's so weird. It's so creepy, but it's even creepier when he's staring in a corner. Okay, none of this has anything to do with the story, but let me just continue talking about reading the story. I'd see her on the baby monitor talking to the wall, waving to corners of her room and whispering and giggling behind me. I finally got too spooked and told her Curly wasn't allowed in our house anymore. She stopped talking about him, and now that she's older, she doesn't remember Curly at all. I mean, she was 2, like she probably wouldn't remember that anyway. We moved into a new house in 2020, and she started reporting seeing a shadow man who watched her sleep from the corner of her room. We thought she was just afraid of the dark, but now we have a baby, and the baby is also waving at random corners of the room, saying hi and bye to someone who isn't there. And I hear footsteps upstairs while the kids are sleeping. I'm curious to see what the baby starts saying once she can talk more. Once she can talk more, y'all better get the hell out of that house, for real. That is so weird. And the fact that like the older kid is doing it, okay, maybe she is saying something, or maybe she has a tendency to have like imaginary friends, or to, you know, whatever. But the fact that the newborn is also engaging in it is creepy as hell. I'm curious to see what the baby starts saying once she can talk more. Well, clearly this person is not afraid enough, because I would have to get the hell up out of that house. Did I leave the sticker? I've had this blender bottle for like 2 years. I feel like the sticker shouldn't be on there anymore. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about this style of video. This is definitely something that I can do more often. If you like it, let me know. If you like it, let me know, and I'll find creepy stories. I was also thinking that maybe I could even do, okay, so when I was in high school, I was obsessed with creepypasta. I know. I was obsessed with creepypasta. Like, I would read creepypasta every single night before I went to bed, or I guess to fall asleep. It would kind of like lull me to sleep in a weird, creepy way. But I was also thinking that maybe it would be cool if I read some creepypastas on the channel. So let me know what you think, and I could definitely do more things like this. So, okay? Well, that is all I have for today's video. As always, please take care, be kind to yourself and others, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.